problem is asking us to do two things: solve and graph an inequality. The inequality bit is that this is like an equation, but instead of being equal, it's not equal. In this case, the left side is greater than the right side. Solving these is pretty much the same as solving an equation with only one difference. So we're going to start out sort of normally. I don't like these parentheses here, so I'm going to get rid of them by distributing the negative 4. And that's going to give us negative 4x minus 12 plus x is greater than negative 6. Okay, that's fine. We can combine like terms here. The negative 4x plus, here's an invisible 1x. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So this is negative 3x. The minus 12 sticks around, is greater than negative 6. And then again, normal solving step, we can add 12 to both sides. So if I do plus 12, this becomes negative 3x is greater than, this becomes positive 6. But now, I'm just going to bring this up here so we have some more space. Once you get to a step like this, where you have a negative number times x, something weird happens. We're going to do our normal step of dividing by negative 3 on both sides, because we want to get rid of the negative 3 next to the x. That gives us an x. Over here, 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. But when you multiply or divide by a negative, so in this case we're dividing by a negative on both sides, because it's a negative number that we're multiplying or dividing by, we have to switch the inequality. The inequality flips around, so instead of being a greater than, it becomes a less than. So notice that in this process, it did a little flippity flip and changed direction. That only happens when you multiply or divide by a negative number, like negative 3 in this case. So this is our final answer for the solving process. This is actually means the same thing as this whole complicated inequality up here. It turns out any number that you plug in, x, as long as that number is less than negative 2, this will work correctly. The second part is the graphing part. This is where you show these numbers on a number line. So x is less than negative 2. Well, things that are less than negative 2 would be like negative 3 or negative 4 or negative 5. Anything less than negative 2. The way you show this on the graph is you start at negative 2, and you say, okay, I'm starting here. And because it's the numbers that are less, you're always going to the left, right? Less is to the left. Anything less than negative 2 would be negative 3, negative 4, the stuff over here. I can sort of highlight all these things. And so on your paper with your pencil, you would basically draw a big arrow over here. Some people like to draw the arrow above the number line. That works too. It's up to you. But then there's one last bit, which is you always have to consider, is negative 2 included or not? In this case, it's less than negative 2. So can it be exactly negative 2? No, it cannot. X has to be less. And so negative 2 is not included. And the way we show that is by having a circle with a hole in it. So like a big open circle like this. Sometimes you might have a situation where it's less than or equal to. Not in this problem, but in a different problem, you could have less than or equal to. That would make you fill in the circle. Or an alternative is you could have a situation where instead of a less than, it's a greater than. And in that case, you would go the opposite direction. So those are your different possibilities.